12 years of marriage, 3 children, a wife I trusted with my life savings. But one bank statement I wasn't supposed to see shattered everything, exposing a web of lies spun by the 2 people I loved most, my wife and the man I called my best friend. What they didn't know? The pipeline welder they'd been deceiving was sitting on a $20 million secret that would turn their greed into my greatest weapon. Have you ever discovered something that made you question everything you thought you knew about your life? Share your story below. Sometimes knowing you're not alone makes all the difference. My name is Ryan Cooper. I'm 38 years old, and this is how 12 years of trust, loyalty, and hard work unraveled in a single afternoon, and what I did to make sure justice was served. The welding torch in my hand cast dancing shadows across the pipeline joint as I worked another 16-hour shift in the Midland heat. Sweat dripped down my back under the heavy protective gear, but I didn't mind. Pipeline work paid well, 6 figures if you knew what you were doing, and I'd been doing it long enough to buy us a nice house in the better part of town. Jessica always said she was proud of me for providing so well, especially considering I never went to college. That evening, I came home covered in grease and dust, ready for Jessica's famous chicken casserole and maybe catching a Rangers game with Kevin, my 12-year-old. But the house felt different, too quiet. Jessica's car was in the driveway, but she wasn't in the kitchen where she usually waited with a cold beer and that smile that had hooked me 15 years ago. I found her in the home office, hunched over our computer with a stack of papers spread across the desk, bank statements. Her face had this tight, worried expression I'd never seen before. "Hey babe," I said, loosening my work boots. "Everything okay?" She jumped like I'd caught her stealing, quickly shuffling the papers together. "Oh, Ryan, you're home early." "Early? It's after 7. I glanced at the papers in her hands. "What's all that?" "Just bills. You know how it is." Her laugh sounded forced. "Medical expenses for Amanda's braces, Kevin's football equipment. Sometimes I wonder how we manage it all." Something felt off. I'd been handling our finances for 12 years, and we were doing fine. Better than fine, actually, but I didn't push it. Jessica had always been the worrier in our relationship. The next morning, after Jessica left for her shift at Midland Regional Hospital, where she worked as a nurse practitioner, I decided to check our accounts myself. What I found made my blood run cold. Our joint checking account, the one we used for household expenses, showed a series of large withdrawals over the past 6 months. 5,000 here, 8,000 there. Always on days when I was working out-of-town pipeline jobs. Always with Jessica's signature. The memo lines said things. I like emergency medical and family expenses, but I couldn't match them to any bills or receipts. But that wasn't the worst part. Hidden in her browser history, I found something that stopped my heart. Emails to a private account I'd never seen before. The subject lines made me sick. "Can't wait to see you again." And "When R is out of town next week." My hands shook as I opened the latest email. It was from Scott Brennan, my supposed best friend, the guy who'd been my groomsman, who came to every family barbecue, who called me brother. The email was short, but it cut deep. "Jesse, the kids at the lake house this weekend? Perfect timing since Ryan's in El Paso until Sunday. Can't believe he still has no idea about us, or about the money you've been moving. 12 years and the man's still clueless. See you Friday. S." I sat there staring at the screen for what felt like hours. Scott Brennan, the real estate developer who'd helped us find our house, the man who'd bounced my kids on his knee, the friend who'd listened to me complain about work while drinking my beer. But it was that line about the money you've been moving that really got to me. What money? I controlled our finances, monitored every account. Or so I thought. That afternoon, I drove to First National Bank and asked to speak with our account manager, Maria Santos. She'd handled our banking for 8 years and knew me well. "Ryan," she smiled. "Good to see you. How's the pipeline business?" "Can't complain. Listen, Maria, I need to ask you about some account activity. My wife's been making some large withdrawals, and I want to make sure everything's legitimate." Maria's expression grew serious. "Of course. Let me pull up your accounts." She typed for a moment, then frowned. "Ryan, are you talking about the secondary account?" "What secondary account?" "The one Jessica opened 6 months ago. She said you were starting a side business and needed a separate account for tax purposes." Maria turned her monitor toward me. She's been transferring money from your joint account into this one, then making cash withdrawals. I assumed you knew. My vision actually blurred for a second. How much has she withdrawn total? Let me calculate. Approximately $47,000 over 6 months. $47,000. Nearly a year's worth of our savings, gone. Money I'd earned working 16-hour days in 100-degree heat. Money we'd planned to use for the kids' college funds. I managed to keep my voice steady. Maria, I need copies of all the transactions on that account, and I need you to freeze it immediately. Are you sure, Ryan? Jessica will need your signature to access it after that. I'm very sure. Driving home, my mind raced. 12 years of marriage, and I'd never suspected a thing. Scott had been in our lives since before Jessica and I even got married. He'd introduced us actually at a charity fundraiser. Said Jessica was perfect for a hard-working guy like me. The sick part? He was right. She had been perfect. Supportive during my roughest jobs, understanding when I had to work weekends, always making sure I felt appreciated. She'd even packed my lunch every morning for 12 years, complete with little notes that said things like, "Have a safe day, love you." Now I wondered if she was packing those lunches just to make sure I left on time, giving her a clear schedule for her real life. When Jessica came home that evening, she was glowing, actually glowing, with this radiant energy I hadn't seen in months. She hummed while making dinner, dancing a little to music that wasn't playing. "Good day at work?" I asked from the kitchen table, watching her carefully. "The best," she said without thinking, then caught herself. "I mean, same old stuff. But I got good news about Amanda's orthodontist bill. Turns out insurance will cover more than we thought." I'd already called Amanda's orthodontist that afternoon. There was no insurance news. The bill was the same as it had been for months. "That's great, honey," I said. "Really great." Over the next week, I hired Jason Martinez, a private investigator Scott himself had recommended 2 years ago when we'd had problems with equipment theft on a job site. The irony wasn't lost on me. Jason was thorough, discreet, and unfortunately, very good at his job. Within 3 days, he had photos of Jessica and Scott at the lake house Scott claimed to use for client meetings. Within a week, he had records of hotel stays, restaurant receipts, and a paper trail that painted a picture I wished I'd never seen. But the real bombshell came when Jason dug into Scott's business dealings. The man I'd trusted was running a real estate scam, using Jessica's access to hospital records to target elderly patients with medical debt. He'd buy their properties for pennies on the dollar, then flip them for massive profits. Jessica had been feeding him information on vulnerable families, using her position at the hospital to help him prey on people when they were at their lowest. "There's more," Jason said during our final meeting at a diner outside town. "Your wife's been in contact with a divorce attorney. Preliminary papers were drawn up last month." "Divorce papers?" "Looks like they were planning to clean you out first, then she'd file for irreconcilable differences. With the money already moved and hidden, she'd claim the marriage assets were minimal. You'd walk away with almost nothing while they started fresh with your savings." I thanked Jason, paid his fee, and drove home in a fog. But as I sat in my truck outside our house, the house Scott had helped us buy, something shifted inside me. The hurt was still there, but it was being replaced by something colder, more calculating. They thought they were smart. They thought they were dealing with just another blue-collar worker who wouldn't figure it out until it was too late. What they didn't know was that this blue-collar worker had been sitting on a secret that would change everything. See, 18 months ago, my grandfather's estate had finally settled. He'd been a wildcatter back in the day, one of those old-timers who bought mineral rights to worthless land on gut instinct. Most of his bets didn't pay off, but a few did. A few paid off big. When the lawyers contacted me, I couldn't believe it. $20 million in oil royalties accumulated over decades and left to me in a trust I'd never known existed. The money had specific conditions. It couldn't be touched until I was 38, and it couldn't be disclosed to anyone until the inheritance was complete. I'd planned to surprise Jessica on our 15th anniversary next year. Maybe buy her that beach house she'd always dreamed about. Take the kids on a European vacation. Retire early and travel the world together. Instead, I was about to give them a surprise they'd never forget. I spent the next month planning carefully. First, I moved the oil royalty money into offshore accounts that Rachel Foster, the best divorce attorney in Texas, helped me establish. Then I set up a dummy corporation and began quietly purchasing property around Midland, including the office building, where Scott's real estate company leased space. The beauty of having real money is that you can make moves that seem impossible to people thinking small. Scott thought he was running a clever little scam, stealing $47,000 from a pipeline welder. He had no idea he was about to face someone with resources he couldn't even imagine. On a Thursday in September, Jessica came home with that same glowing energy she'd had for weeks. "Ryan," she said, sitting across from me at our kitchen table, "I need to ask you for something, and I hope you'll understand." I looked up from my dinner, keeping my expression neutral. "What's that, honey?" "It's Amanda. She's been having some complications with her braces. Serious ones. The orthodontist says she needs emergency surgery to prevent permanent damage to her jaw." I almost laughed. I'd spoken to Amanda's orthodontist that morning. She was doing fine. Better than fine, actually. "How serious?" I asked. "Very serious. And expensive." Jessica's eyes welled up with tears. "Ryan, I hate asking this, but we need $50,000 by Monday, or they won't do the surgery." $50,000. The exact amount she and Scott had stolen, give or take a few hundred. They weren't just planning to leave me broke. They wanted me to voluntarily hand over more money as they walked out the door. I leaned back in my chair, studying my wife's face. $50,000. I know it's a lot, but I've been looking into second mortgages and we could probably... "Jessica," I said quietly, reaching into my wallet. "You want money for Amanda's emergency?" Her face lit up with hope. "Yes, Ryan. I knew you'd understand. I pulled out a $1 bill and placed it on the table between us. "There you go." She stared at the dollar, confused. What is this?" "That's what I'm giving you for Amanda's fake emergency." I leaned forward, my voice calm and cold. "Want to know how I know it's fake? Because I called Dr. Richards this morning. Amanda's fine. Just like I called our bank and discovered the $47,000 you've stolen over the past 6 months. Just like I hired a private investigator who documented every hotel stay, every secret meeting, every lie you've told me for the past year." Jessica's face went white. "Ryan, I can explain." "No need to explain. I know about Scott. I know about the real estate scam. I know about the divorce papers." I stood up, towering over her. "What you don't know is what happens next." I reached into my briefcase and pulled out a thick manila folder. These are divorce papers I had drawn up. You're going to sign them tonight. You'll get exactly what Texas law requires, nothing more, nothing less. The house stays with me. The kids stay with me. And that $47,000 you stole, you're going to pay back every penny with interest. Jessica was shaking now. "You can't do this. I have rights. I'll fight you." "With what money?" I smiled for the first time in weeks. "See, while you've been playing house with Scott, I've been making some moves of my own." I pulled out another document. "This is notice that Scott's lease has been terminated. As of tomorrow, he no longer has an office in Midland. Seems the building's new owner, that would be me, doesn't want to do business with him." The confusion in Jessica's eyes was almost comical. "You don't have that kind of money." "Don't I?" I pulled out one more paper, a bank statement showing the oil royalty account. $20,478,000. That's what my grandfather's mineral rights were worth when they finally settled his estate. Money you knew nothing about because, unlike you, I don't lie to my spouse. Jessica grabbed the statement, her hands shaking so hard she could barely read it. This can't be real." "Oh, it's real, and here's the beautiful part. It's all premarital inheritance, which means you have no claim to it under Texas law. You spent 12 years married to a multimillionaire, and you're walking away with nothing because you got greedy." I sat back down, enjoying the show. "You wanted $50,000? Here's what's going to happen instead. You're going to sign these papers tonight. You're going to pack your things and leave this house. And you're going to spend the next several years working extra shifts at whatever job you can find to pay back the money you stole from our children's college funds." Jessica started crying, ugly, desperate sobs. "Ryan, please. I made mistakes, but we can work through this. Think about the kids." "I am thinking about the kids. That's why they're staying with me, in the home their father bought, attending the schools their father can afford." You made your choice when you decided a pipeline welder wasn't good enough for you. And Scott, she whispered. I checked my watch. Right about now, Scott's discovering that his biggest clients have mysteriously decided to take their business elsewhere. Seems they don't like working with people who prey on sick elderly patients. Funny how word gets around in a small town. The next morning, Jessica signed the papers. By noon, she'd moved out. By evening, Scott Brennan had left town altogether, his business destroyed and his reputation in ruins. I kept my word about everything. Jessica got exactly what Texas law required in our divorce, which, given my careful financial planning, amounted to about $3,000 and a 10-year-old Honda Civic. She found work at a clinic in Odessa, making a third of what she'd made at Midland Regional. Scott Brennan ended up selling insurance in Oklahoma, a broken man who'd learned the hard way that stealing from the wrong person can cost you everything. As for me, I took early retirement from pipeline work and invested my oil money wisely, real estate mostly, including several commercial properties in downtown Midland. I'd become one of the wealthiest residents in our small Texas town, and I made sure everyone knew how I'd earned every penny. The kids took the divorce hard at first, but they adapted. Kevin's in high school now, captain of the football team, and his college fund is bigger than most people's retirement accounts. Amanda got her braces off, no surgery required, and she's talking about studying medicine. Brian's showing real talent for mathematics, and I've already started him investing in a junior portfolio. They know what their mother did, and they've made their own choices about forgiveness. Kevin refuses to see Jessica altogether. Amanda visits occasionally, but doesn't stay long. Brian, being the youngest, still loves his mom, but asks hard questions she can't answer. 3 years later, Jessica reached out one last time. She was working double shifts at the Odessa clinic, driving a car held together with duct tape, living in a studio apartment that cost more per month than she used to spend on shoes. She wanted to meet for coffee. I agreed, curious what she might say after all this time. She looked older, tired, worn down by the consequences of her choices. Ryan, she said, stirring her coffee nervously, I know I don't deserve anything from you, but the kids, they need their mother, and I've learned my lesson. I've changed. I listened patiently, then leaned back in my chair. Jessica, you spent 12 years lying to my face while stealing money from our children's future. You conspired with my best friend to destroy my life and leave me with nothing. The only reason you're sorry is because your plan failed. But I am sorry. You're sorry you got caught. There's a difference. I stood up to leave. Enjoy your coffee. I hear the clinic's keeping you busy. Walking back to my truck, a new Ford F-350, paid for in cash, I felt that familiar sense of satisfaction. Not revenge exactly. Justice. The kind of justice that comes when someone who thought they were smarter than you discovers exactly how wrong they were. These days, I spend my time managing my investments and watching my kids grow into good people despite what their mother did to our family. Kevin's gotten multiple college scholarships, though he doesn't need them. Amanda's volunteering at the same hospital where Jessica used to work, earning respect the honest way. Brian's building robots in his spare time and talking about studying engineering. Sometimes people ask me if I miss Jessica, if I regret how things ended. The answer's simple. I miss the woman I thought I married, not the one who actually existed. That woman was a lie from day one, and I'm grateful I discovered the truth when I did. The kids have struggled with understanding why their mother did what she did. Kevin, now 15, asked me once if I thought she ever really loved us. I think she loved the idea of us, I told him. The security, the stability, the life we could provide. But love isn't about what someone can give you. It's about choosing to be honest and loyal, even when it's hard. Amanda, 13 now, has been the most philosophical about it all. Dad, she said one evening while we were working on her algebra homework, do you think Mom would have stayed if you'd never found out? Probably, I said. But would that have been better? Living a lie? She thought about it for a long moment. No, I'd rather know the truth, even if it hurts. Brian at 11 just wants to understand the money part. He's got his grandfather's head for numbers, and he's fascinated by how the oil inheritance works. So, great-grandpa bought land that nobody thought was valuable? He asked one Saturday while we were reviewing his investment portfolio. That's right. He saw potential where others saw worthless dirt. Like how you saw that Mom and Scott were lying when nobody else did? Kids have a way of cutting right to the heart of things. Something like that, son. The oil money has given us opportunities I never imagined. We travel during school breaks, not flashy vacations, but educational trips. Last summer, we spent 3 weeks in Europe, visiting engineering marvels and historical sites. Kevin loved the medieval castles. Amanda was fascinated by the art museums. And Brian couldn't get enough of the ancient Roman aqueducts. But more than the money, more than the properties I own now, more than the respect I've earned in this town, the real victory is watching my exiles, children develop into people with integrity. They've seen what betrayal looks like, and they've chosen to be different. Kevin's dating a girl from his class, Sarah Martinez, Jason's daughter as it turns out. He treats her with a respect and honesty that makes me proud. When she comes over for dinner, he introduces her properly, includes her in family conversations, and never makes her feel like an outsider. Amanda's planning to study medicine, but not because of her mother. She wants to help people the right way, with compassion and ethics. She volunteers at the Children's Hospital in Lubbock, reading to kids during their treatments. Brian's already talking about becoming an engineer. He's building more complex projects every month. Last week it was a solar-powered irrigation system for the school garden. His math teacher says he has natural talent, but I see more than that. I see a kid who understands that building something real takes patience, planning, and honesty. The town has changed too, in subtle ways. Word gets around about what happened, and people remember. When someone new moves to Midland and asks about good, trustworthy people to work with, my name comes up. When young couples are looking for relationship advice, sometimes they'll ask me how I knew Jessica wasn't who she claimed to be. My answer is always the same. Trust, but verify. Love someone with everything you have, but keep your eyes open. The people who truly love you won't ask you to be blind. I've been approached by a few women over the years. Midland's a small town, and a single father with means doesn't stay single by accident. There's been interest, but I'm not ready yet, and maybe I won't ever be. The kids are my priority now, and they're enough. I've learned to be content with what we've built together. Some nights after the kids are asleep, I sit on the back porch with a beer and look out at the life we've created. It's not the life I planned 12 years ago, but it's honest, it's real, and it's ours. 6 months ago, I got word that Scott Brennan had tried to start over in Dallas. Same scam, different victims. This time, he targeted veterans with medical debt. The FBI got involved when one of his victims was a decorated Marine who'd lost his leg in Afghanistan. Scott's in federal prison now. 25 years for wire fraud, elder abuse, and conspiracy. His wife Nicole divorced him and moved back to her family in Arkansas. She sent me a letter once, apologizing for not seeing who her husband really was. I wrote back telling her that good people sometimes get fooled by bad ones, and it's not her fault. Jessica's story has been different, though not necessarily better. The clinic in Odessa let her go last year after budget cuts, and she's been struggling to find steady work. The medical field is small, and word travels fast about misconduct investigations, even ones that don't result in criminal charges. She's working at an urgent care clinic now, making barely enough to cover rent on her studio apartment. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she's been asking around about whether I'd consider reconciliation for the kids' sake. The answer is no, and it always will be. Not because I haven't forgiven her. Carrying that anger would only hurt me and the children. I've forgiven her for my own peace of mind. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting, and it doesn't mean giving someone another chance to destroy your life. The truth is, I barely think about Jessica or Scott anymore. My focus is on the future, not the past. Kevin's been accepted to 3 different colleges with full scholarships. He's thinking about studying business, maybe taking over some of my real estate investments when he graduates. Amanda's been volunteering with a medical mission that travels to rural communities providing free healthcare. She wants to be the kind of doctor who helps people, not one who exploits them. I couldn't be prouder. Brian's science fair project this year involved analyzing water quality in different neighborhoods around Midland. His conclusion was that lower income areas had significantly more contamination issues than wealthier neighborhoods. He's already talking about studying environmental engineering to help fix problems like that. These are kids who understand justice, who've seen what happens when people choose greed over integrity, and who've decided to be part of the solution instead of the problem. Last month, I was approached by a group of investors from Houston who wanted to buy some of my downtown properties. The offer was generous, more than generous actually. It would have set us up for life. even more than we already are. But I turned it down. "Dad," Kevin asked when I told him about the offer, "why didn't you take it? We could have bought that ranch you've been looking at." "Because this town gave our family a chance to start over," I said. "Now it's my turn to give other families that same chance. Instead of selling to the Houston group, I've been working with local families to help them start businesses in those buildings. A young veteran named Marcus opened a coffee shop. A single mother named Patricia started a daycare center. A retired teacher named Anthony opened a used bookstore that also offers tutoring services. I could make more money charging corporate rents, but money isn't everything. Building something real, something that helps your community, that's worth more than any bank balance. The oil royalties keep coming in every month, steady and reliable. My financial advisor says I'm being too conservative with my investments, that I could be making much more aggressive moves. But I've seen what happens when people get too hungry for money. I've got enough to take care of my family and help others. That's enough for me. Sometimes I think about what my grandfather would say if he could see what his wildcatter investments have become. He was a man who believed in taking calculated risks, but also in keeping your word and treating people fairly. I think he'd approve of what I've done with his legacy. The pipeline industry has changed a lot in the years since I retired. More automation, different safety protocols, evolving environmental standards. But the core of the work remains the same, building infrastructure that people depend on, doing it safely and honestly, and taking pride in craftsmanship. I still get offers to come back, especially for specialized welding projects. The money's good, and part of me misses the satisfaction of laying a perfect bead on a critical joint. But my place is here now, with my kids, building something different but equally important. On quiet evenings when homework's done and the kids are pursuing their own interests, I sometimes pull out the old photos from when they were small. There are pictures of family barbecues with Scott and Nicole, vacation photos with Jessica, holiday gatherings that looked so perfect from the outside. Looking at those photos now, I can see things I missed at the time. The way Scott always positioned himself next to Jessica. The way Jessica's smile looked forced in certain pictures. The way she avoided looking directly at the camera when Scott was around. The signs were there. I just chose to trust instead of doubt. To believe instead of investigate. Some people would call that naive. I call it human. But I also learned that trust should be earned, not assumed. That love without honesty isn't really love at all. And that sometimes the worst betrayals come from the people you'd trust with your life. The real victory isn't the money, though $20 million certainly doesn't hurt. The real victory is sitting here tonight, knowing that my children have integrity, that our community is a little bit stronger because of the choices I've made, and that I've built something real from the wreckage of lies. They never saw it coming.